I mean, all of the men, we're petrified to speak to women anymore. We may raise our voice. You know what? The women get it better than we do, folks.
Kellyanne, thoughts?
Well, that's his whole riff on political correctness. He's not talking about what I think the Hillary people will say he meant, which is pay equity and reproductive rights and healthcare access for women and their children. He's talking about political correctness. I mean, this is a man who, over the course of a year, as the front runner the entire time and now the presumptive nominee, Chuck, has been able to really cash in with voters on this us versus them. Mm-hmm. And the them changes all the time. The them is the rigged system. The them is political correctness. The them is the people who take money.
There's always a them.
There's always a them. And I think this was just part of that.
Andrea?
Well, he's tapping into, as Kellyanne said, the anger. When talking about a rigged system, he's also embracing Bernie Sanders because he's trying to recruit the anti-Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders supporters, tap into all of that. They're all against us, the establishment. Hillary Clinton is the establishment. And he doesn't answer questions, or he changes his positions at will. And he still manages to get away with it because he is talking above the level of people questioning him.
But Matt, I was just thinking, imagine if Mitt Romney had said that quote.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
But this is.
I mean, he got punished for what Todd Aiken said 4 years ago.
Binders of Women wasn't exactly the finest moment.
It wasn't, but this is something you would think would become.
Binders of Women wasn't great. It's the same reason. The reason he can, we call it a flip-flop, right? When somebody says one thing and doesn't. In politics, you can't get away with it. The voters don't like it. It's a sign of inauthenticity, right? Inconsistency. Mm-hmm. He is not. One thing we learned in this primary process, and I think we need to heed it very carefully going forward, he is not judged by the standards of a politician. He is judged by the standards of an entertainer. And entertainers, by the way, reinvent themselves constantly. Read any gossip magazine. They're constantly changing who they are and what they say. The question that remains over this general election is, in a general election with a different, broader electorate, is he judged as a politician, or is he judged the way you judge an entertainer? Because if it's the latter, it's different than people think.
I think that's absolutely right. I think that's what we saw throughout that interview. When you started asking him about his contradictions and about the issues, what do you think about the minimum wage? Well, yes and no, right? He's going to go either way. He's going to go both ways. The same on every issue that you tried to pin him down on. So I think it makes the general election campaign totally unpredictable, except in its unpredictability, and except in the fact that Trump will run to the left of Clinton on some issues, to the right on other issues, and that might.
But are conservatives going, see, we told you he would do this.
Well, some
He's
are.
doing exactly what Ted Cruz said he was going to do.
Some are, Chuck, and they're welcome to their opinions. However, you can't leave on the field the 10 million plus voters who supported this man in the primaries. It's a historically high figure. And I just have to push back a little bit. I don't think it's fair to say he's judged as an entertainer. What he's judged as is a non-politician. And we found out, the Super PAC, that
hard way.
Politicians are held for account now for their positions. Non-politicians will be held sometime in the future for their for their positions. But look, I'm not sure that the election this fall will be a referendum on Donald Trump. It could be a referendum on Hillary Clinton. It's going to be easy for him to say, look, you've been in public life for 30 years. So if you want to improve the lot of women, where have you been?
Let's go, though, to this Ryan riff a little bit. Donor, it was funny, is it donor generated, or was it a message to donors, a message to incumbents who are afraid of running with Trump?
I think what Paul Ryan is saying is that he has to protect the House majority. He has to protect, incumbent Congress members who are concerned about the Donald Trump effect. So he's basically going to worry about the swing districts, which is his majority, and those in safe districts can go with Trump or do whatever they have to do. Look, the fact that he changed his position on minimum wage and on the tax, his tax proposal in one interview with you, and has also said, importantly, he said in the last 48 hours on CNBC that he would let the U.S. default. He would let the U.S. become Greece. When he is saying, I'm not going to pay 100% on Treasury bonds, he is saying something to Republican donors, to the business community, that is so shocking that if it is widely
right, but does it hurt him politically?
It hurts him within
No.
No, I mean,
I think it does.
Not yet now.
If it is properly explained.
If I'm Donald Trump, and there are a few people I'd less likely be, but if I were Donald Trump, I'd go right into the teeth of that. I think it'd be a terrible mistake to try and be the Republican standard bearer. He has to run against the entire system, and this is an opening for him to do that.
Right, but he walks a line, right? He says these outrageous things that are crazy, perhaps, that we think are crazy, but somehow he never goes too far for his base. There are things he could say that would go too far for his base.
Okay. And
What?
you know what? He hadn't done
We
it.
don't know yet.
We don't know what they are yet,
We don't know
do
what
we?
they are yet.
We always
I'm
think we
confident
did.
they're